Ms. Ziegler?
A lot of things that were said tonight are not true. And I know you guys want to laugh and think that's funny, but I think this is actually really serious. And it really hurts my heart because I do think all of us up here care deeply about all of the students in which that are being alleged to have impacts, particularly our most vulnerable families with Title I, and also our special needs families. I personally take serious issue with it because for years, this district, anyone up on this board, and mainly any of these lead administrators, had serious issues with our ESE, serious issues. And it took me fighting tooth and nail against board members and former administrators to get it fixed. Thank the Lord, we have great leadership up here and board members that push through for us to fix that. So I find it a little disheartening to all of a sudden we have a flood of very concerned people, but that's okay. Maybe you weren't necessarily aware. But the reality is the federal government is a massive bureaucracy. We, at the end of the day, when you want to think about the blob and how hard it is as a parent, you're talking about trying to navigate that. If someone said something which was this was true. The benefactors of this level of bureaucracy are attorneys. They're attorneys. That's who ends up benefiting, and our taxpayers go to it. We have not seen any change whatsoever when it comes to the proficiency or the achievement gap. All of this has to be dictated at the local level, and we are living proof that that's what needs to happen because we're seeing massive transformations happen since we have new leadership in this district. And that is not because of any regulatory body at this federal government. As was stated, many of these laws are in fact federal laws. We're talking about an agency that's either working for the people or it's not. I did historically, so not including pass-through dollars, because there's a lot of, the misinformation is that there's going to be a cut in funding to Title I and under IDEA and 504. That's not true. When you're talking about closing the Department of Education, which again, this body doesn't have anything to do with, and I will advocate all day long that I want a more efficient government that works, and the record shows long and clear that the Department of Education at the federal level has not done that at all. And when you look at it, it costs on average about $80 billion for the not pass-through dollars, just operational costs to fund the Department of Education. That has been consistent for the last 10 years. Those are the monies that will be actually reduced, not the dollars that are geared towards those specified families or students. So I know that it's a great tactic, and it breaks my heart to hear that there are parents, because I hear from them too, who are terrified. But the fact is, they're not being fed factual information. The fact is, we don't know what's going to happen. But when you guys it comes down to
order, come up.
Well,
please,
very well behaved. But when it comes down to it, we are prepared because we have so much value in the fact that the more control we have closer to the families that we serve, the better. Many people mentioned the referendum. Absolutely. I'm glad you did. That's exactly what you want. You want to have more control the closer you are to the families and the community that you serve. So when you're able to get the kind of support that we have in Sarasota County for the funds, for additional funds under the referendum, that allows us extraordinary control where we are able to be very prescriptive. And again, I encourage you to watch our workshops. You're seeing real-time, amazing work being done. And a lot of that is from the funding that were allotted from the state and locally. There's clearly a very concerted effort. The National Education Association is leading it, which, just for good food for thought, if everyone knows, they were one of the leading activists to support the creation of the Department of Education. So, and ironically, we see a flood of political items that come from the federal government, from special initiatives that have divided this community and many communities across the United States. And I believe many of us, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, do care about children, do want to see politics out of the curriculum, do want to get back to the core functions so that every student can achieve their God-given potential. But at the end of the day, all of this discussion and hype really doesn't serve the families, and it's really creating an unfair narrative that's causing a lot of heartburn. I feel very confident in the leadership at this district. I'm very appreciative of the support that this community has continued to offer this district to allow them to be more prescriptive to serve every unique child. And I will continue to support more deregulation, which ironically, just for the record, is also on our legislative agenda, priorities that this board supported deregulation. While that was yes at the state level, I can't think of a better place to deregulate than the federal government.
Mr. Edwards.
So, back to that carefree learner we got at Sarasota High.